Today I want to tell you a story of a man and his encounter with a creature known as Bigfoot. It was a late afternoon and he was driving down an unpaved forest road deep in the dense woods. His old rattling pickup made squeaking and scratching noises each time he was driving over a rock or a root, and he really wished he had a radio. But his car was from the junkyard, so beggars can't be choosers, he thought to himself. And while he was driving down this road, he was in his mind already preparing for what he had planned. He knew there were some tools in the back and some seeds in his glove box, 'cause he, the man, his friend named Cammo Cowboy, was about to plant some marijuana deep hidden in the woods. He knew how to grow it. He learned it back over there in Nam. And so he was prepared. He thought, at least. 'Cause what he next encountered, nothing could have prepared him for this. Out of the glimpse of his eye, he saw a vague shadow between the trees. Not more than a movement, a silhouette, but his mind, still sharp from over there, immediately saw the movement. And so he stopped his car. He slammed the pedal down and the old pickup was sliding around till it came to a halt. He grabbed his rifle and opened the door. The mud was splashing away when he jumped out on the street, making a roll to his side and crawling down to the side of the road. His eye rifle aimed at whatever moved down there. But there was nothing. And he thought to himself, am I going crazy? Like so many of my friends were starting to sweat when they heard a chopper in the air, or a firecracker somewhere exploding. And so he stood up and walked back to his pickup, brushing the dirt off his clothes. I'm going crazy, he said to himself. So he grabbed in his pocket and picked up a joint, lighting it up. And while he was there standing, leaning on his car, relaxing, trying to shake it off and calm down his nerves, he saw something. He saw it again, a movement in the distance. This time he was sure. He grabbed his rifle and aimed at it. Looking through a scope, what he saw made him freeze. A big, tall, man-like ape creature. He was at least 3 feet taller than him, like a big, bad grizzly bear standing on his hind legs. But it wasn't a bear. It was Bigfoot. He had seen some of the documentaries and heard his friends talk, but he never believed in it himself. Till this moment. He could have shot it, but he was frozen. Not one single muscle in his body wanted to react. He had never felt what he felt now. It wasn't fear alone. This was this surprisingly hard mixture of fear, surprise, and the feeling of not being able to believe what his eyes showed him. After standing there for minutes, the creature moved away. He was standing there, still looking through the scope, where the creature stood before. And then, after a while, he let his rifle sink down, shook his head and went back into his truck, starting the engine and driving on. His mind was playing crazy on him. His thoughts out of control. Was he crazy? Or could he believe what he saw? Could it have been a bear? But no, he was sure. It wasn't a bear. He was sure what he had seen. And so he decided to stop his truck, turned around, and drove back, walking down into the woods where he'd seen the creature. His rifle, of course, at hand, where he was looking down on the ground, looking for tracks. And he found them. Big, larger than human footprints. He kneeled down, putting his hand inside the print, realizing how big it was. And he had seen a lot of animal tracks over there in Nam. Also being a hunter in his youth, he was experienced, but nothing could have prepared him for this. He wished he had something like plaster with him to make a print of it. But then he remembered he had a camera in his glove box, so he went back to his truck to take his camera. And when he came out on the street, directly between him and his truck stood the creature, looking at him. He fell, he crawled, he ran. His rifle lost on the way. He was running and running and running for hours, till he came to a small creek. And suddenly he felt peace, and the sun came out of the clouds. And he knew he was safe here. It was just this inner feeling. So he waited and sat there on a rock, looking down into the water. What should he do now? Should he return? Should he just walk down the creek till he comes to some house or something? And what to tell them? Tell them he's crazy? Tell them he's a Bigfoot? And what if they asked what he had done there? Well, he couldn't just tell them. He was there to plant some seeds. So, after a while, he decided to go back to his truck. And the way there, he didn't remember how far he was running. When he slowly and finally came back to the road where his truck was parked, it was starting to get dark. But he was happy to find his rifle on the way, so he felt a bit more confident when he was walking there to his truck. But when he came to his truck, he was really surprised, cause one of the windows was smashed in. The glove box ripped right out of the dashboard, and the bag with the seeds was gone. And so he said to himself, if I had just known that Bigfoot was a reefer, I had brought my bong. Smiling about this silly thought, he wasn't too mad of losing the seeds. He had some more. And he still had friends over there. Could send him something. So he decided to call it a day and drive home. He jumped in his truck and started the engine, heading out of there. And when finally he arrived at home, sitting in his bar, telling his story, he knew that nobody would believe him. So, I hope you've enjoyed this little story. But there's more, because his adventures will continue.